Hello, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Christina Brockovich. I am a national advocate for guardianship and conservatorship abuse. I work on some high profile cases. I also work on your average everyday people. I first got involved in Tommy Hearns' case a little after December 10th, 2025. I seen Natasha was on there on Charlie's podcast and she was demanding to see her father. She had not seen him since before November of 2025, and she was wanting to know where he was. She wanted to see him, and she couldn't get any answers. Charlie, said that he was going to help her, and the next thing I knew is then December 15th, 2025, miraculously, Charlie Liduff finds Tommy, and Tommy's son brings him into the studio, which I thought was a studio at the time, but it was actually, I believe, Karen Duma's house. And he's offering then Tommy help in getting money back from his house that was illegally taken from taxes, which it was illegally taken to begin with. Let's just go there. Then I thought it was very funny that, all of a sudden he just miraculously finds Tommy, and he never bothered to reach out to Natasha and say, hey, I found your dad. He's doing okay. Do you want to come see him? Nothing of that. Instead, Natasha was left hanging with no explanation as to why Charlie was not reaching out to her. And so I started to begin helping Natasha locate her father, which I discovered through looking at Tommy's LLCs, that there was one address that stood out from all the rest. And that was the address located in Northville. And that address came back to an individual named Denise Doty Johnson. Through that, I started investigating to see more on this individual. And I went to Facebook looking for her. She wasn't hard to find. However, what made me take a few steps back was I see this post that was posted, and it is Karen Duma's, Charlie Liduff's producer, and she is on there, and they're celebrating a birthday for Denise, and I see Tommy Hitman Hearns in the picture with Denise and Charlie and Karen, and and they're having a birthday for Charlie, which I thought that was really, really odd. And I told Natasha, I said, do you know this lady? And she's like, no. And then I discovered that this same lady had filed a trademark in Tommy's name at her address 2 years prior to this even happening in 2024. Natasha still got no phone call from Charlie, got no call from nobody in assisting, helping her find her dad. So I continued to do investigative work and research, and it was February 8th of 2026. We got a phone call. It was from a anonymous source, and they said that Natasha's father was at a bar called Duos in Southfield, and he was there with another woman. And so Natasha and I got ready. We were headed there, and my phone rang 10 minutes later, and she said, let's not meet there. They left. We just missed them. And then I said, well, let's go to the Northville address, because I know, their age, they're not going to be going bar hopping or anything like that. So I headed towards the Northville address, which was Denise's house, and Natasha was on her way to me then at that point. And she arrived, and about 5 minutes into sitting there, we discovered this black Escalade pulls up to the front of this house, and two individuals exit the vehicle. My foot was outside the car door, and I heard Natasha's voice say, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." And I hear Tommy say, "Baby, my baby, my baby, where have you been?" And Denise started to be a little bit confrontational, and so I put myself between Denise and Natasha and her father so she could hug him and speak with him and see if he was okay. There was an altercation in the parking lot. It got a little loud out there. Then Denise, we thought, we're all adults here. We can go in and talk this out. Surely, she's not going to be holding Tommy against his will or anything. She willingly let us in her house. And through talking to her, I discovered that this woman, she was talking about marrying Tommy. She had a power of attorney in a folder. And she told me that her power of attorney would actually void out Tommy Jr. and Harley Brown's power of attorney over Tommy. Also through that, she told me that Tommy didn't have an ID. His son, Tommy Jr., dropped him off to her house about 3 weeks prior with just a duffel bag and a box of his memorabilia. So she took him to her friend, who was just under Jocelyn Benson at the Secretary of State, and she was able to bypass everything that everybody needs in the state of Michigan to get an ID. She was able to bypass all of that. And Tommy got his state ID going back to her address. Furthermore, she took us to around to show, supposedly where Tommy slept, and while doing that, we noticed that there was a china cabinet that was locked in her home with just Tommy's memorabilia only, and we ended up leaving there that night, still not 100% comfortable with this woman being around Tommy, but yet we didn't want to take him out because it was like 11 o'clock at night. So we went home, we did some more research for a day, and it was the next day, Natasha got a phone call. Her dad wanted to be picked up. He said he did not want to be there. And that is when we made arrangements for Northville Police Department to have a police escort to remove Tommy from the home. Now, mind you, at this time, Tommy is not under a guardianship. He is his own person right now. So, Northville Police Department, they arrived. Tommy exited Denise's house with just the clothes on his back. He left his memorabilia. He didn't want any trouble. And we knew that after we got Tommy, he was probably hungry. So we decided to go to BJ's restaurant in Livonia. And we got through dinner, had dessert. And the next thing I know, this Denise is standing right at the edge of the booth in front of Tommy. And she's trying to grab his arm. And she's asking him, what is he doing there? And she's being belligerent. Mind you, again, he is not under any guardianship at this time, and she demands that he leaves with her. He wasn't budging, so she decided to pull on his arm and try to get him out of the door. Tommy's sister was there. She grabs the other arm. She's trying to stop her. I jumped the table. I'm trying to stop her from leaving with him, and everyone in the restaurant is on their phones and they're calling the police. The police arrived. There was about 8 cars, Livonia police. Everyone was cleared by the police. Nobody kidnapped Tommy. Mind you, he is still his own person at this time. Then Denise discovers that Tommy is no longer there after I told Natasha to get out of here with her father. We were all clear. He's his own person. So she left with her father in her vehicle. Denise falls out in the parking lot in her white puffer coat, rolling around on the ground like a crazy person. And she realizes Tommy, the money benefactor, is no longer there. So at that point, we left. Natasha, had her father. We didn't expect there to be any problems. However, that was not the case. Natasha was getting threatening phone calls from Adult Protective Services, demanding that she turn her father over. And mind you, he is not under guardianship at this time. Also, police reports were made on the fraud in Tommy's accounts. There's been large amounts of money taken from him, and I'm holding actually that report right now. You're not going to get this anywhere else. I am not giving this to the news stations. Charlie LaDuff is not going to have this. No one is going to have this information. It is going to be right here. You're going to get the facts. I'm not giving this out yet because there is going to be some charges. I am 100% positive on these individuals. There's only 3 in this report, but there is a lot more coming. And everyone's lies, they're going to be debunked right here. Starting with Denise claims that, and everyone else claims that she is she is Tommy's girlfriend. That is a lie. This is from an officer in law enforcement, and here is what Tommy, in his own words, on 220 wrote. He said they never dated. They have just been friends. But his friend Denise Johnson does live at the address. He has never lived there. He has no idea why his address is hers. There are numerous transactions resulting in XXX amount of dollars defrauded. Tommy said all the transactions on the account are fraudulent. Hearns is his own legal guardian and living with his daughter Natasha now. Based on transactions, every time money is deposited into the account, it's then sent to somebody, several individuals. There are numerous transactions resulting in fraud. So then, this fraud report was made 2/20 of 2026 this year. We then discovered that an emergency petition was filed for Tommy by a Michael J. Smith, and that is the attorney for Natasha's brothers, Tommy Jr. and Ronald at the time. And we discovered that petition was filed February 18th of 2026, and there was an emergency court hearing for February 23rd at 10 o'clock in the morning. That Natasha was never notified. In fact, Natasha was never even put on the petition. Completely illegal. We have all the documents proving that as facts. Natasha was then forced by the judge to tell him where her father was. And not everyone's going to agree with this, but if you have a loved one, especially a father in this situation, you can understand. You're scared, and she had her kids where they were wanting to go, and she did not want to give that information. And Channel 7 especially painted her to be out a kidnapper. And I just want everyone to know Tommy was under no guardianship whatsoever. Because the fraud was getting discovered, Judge Daniel O'Brien decides to place Tommy under a emergency guardianship. All this was done without him seeing a legal doctor to deem him incapacitated in any way, shape, or form. That same day, what people did not know is I had a meeting with federal agents, and we got out of court I headed right home, and those agents met with me at my home. That was regarding Tommy's case. And I got a call from an adult protective service worker who was on a manhunt to find Tommy Hearns at that point. They came to my home, leaving cards. They were calling me nonstop. And this one in particular, APS worker, called me, and the agents were still sitting here. I put her on speakerphone so they could hear everything that she was saying, including forcing me to tell me where Tommy is. And if I don't, I'm going to go to jail. And if I don't, I'm going to get a contempt of court. And then I did get a contempt of court on the phone. The agents heard it. They could not believe it. This APS worker demanded that I now be before the judge February 24th, the very next day, at 10 o'clock in the morning again. And we had to go in front of the judge. And still to this day, we still do not have any paperwork for those contempt orders. Those were done completely illegal. All parties must be served. We were not served any documents. Then fast forward to today, where we're at. The plan of having Tommy Jr. was not going to work out because the fraud is just off the chains here with him. And what's coming out is that he's probably going to go to prison for this, what he's done. I don't know who could think this is acceptable. And the fact that Ronald hasn't even seen Tommy for 4 or 5 months, even before this. And I have that a recording of Tommy telling me. He also states in this recording that Denise is not his girlfriend, but just a friend, and that she is crazy. That recording, I'm going to release all this soon. I'm going to, when it's safe, and I have an attorney to represent Natasha, I'm going to then release these documents after he gets a hold of them. Because Natasha is still fighting for guardianship of her father, which was wrongfully done from the beginning. Not putting her on the petition, the emergency petition, is completely illegal. All interested persons have to be notified, have to be listed on the petition, and that was not done. So where we're at left with today is Natasha does not have guardianship of her father. Her brother Ronald does. And to be honest with Ronald, he is not going to have custody of his own kids. He doesn't want them. But yet he can take care of his elderly father, who makes, from what I see, the family money. And they don't want to let him go. But that's going to be forced upon them because they're going to let him go. I'm not going to quit fighting for Natasha and for Tommy. I've known Tommy for over 20 years now, and he has been always so kind to me. I've known him since I was 17 years old, just working in a restaurant, going from working in a restaurant to working in the security field, and being able to be around him in different venues. Tommy has always been just a very down-to-earth person. He never thinks that he's better than you. Always, willing to do anything if you need something done. He doesn't let his who he is affect how he treats you. And so I hope you stick around to hear more of what's going to happen in Tommy's case. And I'm going to be releasing these soon. I am going to try to get a studio so I can better bring you guys the evidence. And it's just devastating what has happened to him. I don't know where we get off in a world now where we think just because somebody gets old they have to be placed under a guardianship. And like I said before, I've worked on many cases, close to 100 here in Michigan alone. And some of those high profile cases are Wendy Williams, Clarence Franklin, Aretha Franklin's son. And I can tell you, I have also worked on people who are not even celebrities. And Bessie Owens is a story I like. She's 84 years old. I saved her from guardianship. The same guardian who was going to try and take my father out of our home, they tried to put her under a guardianship. And I happened to be watching the court dockets, and I seen that these women had filed for her, and I knew that her daughter couldn't possibly be aware. I reached out to them, and she wasn't aware. However, long story short, Bessie is 84 years old. She still lives in her home today, and her daughter helps her, as needed. And I don't think because somebody ages or they forget something you tell them a couple hours later, that means that you have to take their entire life away from them. And that is why I do what I do today. I hope you guys stick around. I just wanted to give you a timeline today and tell you how this guardianship started with Tommy Hitman Hearns. And this evidence, it's in black and white. It's from law enforcement. And like I said, Channel 7's not getting this. No news stations are getting this. You're not going to see this on Charlie LaDuff. You're not going to see this anywhere else. And I'm going to continue to bring stuff like this forward. However, I cannot release it today. But I want to let you guys know that I do have it. And I am 100% positive that something is going to come of this. It's also been turned into the Social Security offices for Social Security fraud. And I really hope that the people who decided to do this to Tommy, I hope that you get everything that you deserve coming to you. To do this to him is absolutely heartbreaking. To take away his life, what has been done is it's inhumane. It's not acceptable. I'm not going to accept it. Receiving illegal contempt of courts because of it, because they wanted to keep all of this hidden from you, all this evidence right here hidden from you, and it's too late. It's too late. I got everything. I got bank statements. I can see where the money's going, and this is just one account. So, and this is a lot of fraud, a lot of money here, and I hope you get the book thrown at you. If you decide to do this to somebody, you need to be in prison yourself. It is unbelievable, the world, that we just feel like we have to take away people's life just because they get old. We don't need to do that. Bessie Owens is a story that I like people to hear about because it shows that you could be 84 years old, you could still live in your home, you can still have a life with just a little bit of help. And I want to get Tommy free from this guardianship. I still don't feel he needs a guardian. He was put under guardianship because they thought it was going to stop all this fraud from being uncovered. However, that it's going to continue, whether you have him or not now. You may have him now, but you're not going to much longer because no judge is going to allow anybody to continue on like this. No normal judge is going to allow this. And right now we are looking for attorneys to represent us for Tommy getting the guardianship back and the illegal contempt of courts we received this month. If you're an attorney who is interested in representing Natasha, myself, and others, you can please email me and we will get back with you. But for now, I am going to close and I hope you stick around to learn more about Tommy's case. But right now, I just wanted to get you a basic timeline in and let you know that yes, the fraud is getting uncovered and it is being investigated. And I am heartbroken that this has had to happen this way. I feel bad for Natasha that she was painted out to be a kidnapper. However, that is not the case. Natasha loves her father very, very much. And if this was my father, which I've been in this same situation, I can't say that I would handle this any different than what she did. Being scared and frightened, and the excessive force that was used to try to get her father back from this attempted kidnapping, which I just debunked with the dates. So they did Tommy's emergency guardianship underhandedly behind closed doors, and this is how they all began. Wendy Williams, Clarence Franklin, all these guardianships, that's how they start, is behind closed doors. So I'm thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry this is the circumstances, but I'm going to try to make videos ever so often, probably once a week from now on, maybe sometimes more. I will post on my page, but please stick around and help me free Tommy. He deserves to have his own life back. He deserves to be his own person, and I hope that you would support him and support me in helping bring him back to his daughter and his family who do care about him. Thank you.